Dennis, and I'm your photographer, chef. You can call me Chef Jim if you like. And my menu tonight is going to be dried fruit stuffed chicken with a spinach salad. And for dessert, we're going to have bread pudding. The chicken is marinated, deboned chicken. It's been marinated in Italian salad dressing with a chopped onion stuffed in the whole chicken. I had it marinating for at least 2 days in the refrigerator, and then I take it out and debone it and stuff it with apricots, prunes, and fresh green apples. And you'll see how I cut it in 4 quarters and stuffed it, and wrapped it, and baked it for about 45-55 minutes. So I'll show you what it looks like in just a moment. I'm going to start off with my mother's infamous bread pudding. I guess you could call it New Orleans style, because most people who have had it, they said, "Jim, man, this ain't no bread pudding. This is a fruit cake," because I put everything in it. As you can see, I'm chopping up a green apple, and I do plums and apricots, raisins, shredded coconut, and a little rum, or depends on what I got on the shelf. Sometimes I throw a little brandy in there. So I am going to start blending it with my white sugar, brown sugar, eggs, evaporated milk, and fresh milk, and 1/4 pound of butter. Now, if that don't make your lips smack, I don't know what would. But I'm going to proceed and starting to cut up my bread, French bread, and I got some standard French sour bread, and whatever you got around the house. I got some crunch rolls that I've been eating all week, and I happen to have some raisin bread. So whatever you got, it works. So I'm gonna get started and blend up my liquid here, my milk, eggs, and butter and sugar, and vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And when I get that blended, I'll show you how I lay it in the pan. So we're gonna do a cup of milk. Now the liquid is some vanilla, and we do a couple of teaspoons full of vanilla. My other liquid is evaporated milk. And let's just finish this milk. That's 2 cups. And granulated sugar and a cup of brown sugar. 2 eggs. And we'll try to mix this. sugar in a little bit, and now I'm going to add my butter. Need a little butter. Keep your cheeks nice and round. Now I'm going to add my nutmeg. About a quarter of a teaspoon nutmeg. And same amount of cinnamon. This time I'm going to put the cover on so it doesn't get all over the counter. I'm ready to add my bread and all my other fruit ingredients in the pan. So hold on a minute, and I'll cut up my bread. It doesn't have to be stale bread, it could be fresh. But you want something that's got a little body in it so it holds up. And it absorbs the liquid easily enough. For my first pan, I can melt a little butter in the pan so the bread doesn't stick to the sides too easily. You may want to just smooth that butter all the inside parts of the pan. What I like to do is put the liquid in a separate bowl. Then we drop the bread inside. And we'll start with the French bread. Just drop it in and let it soak up the liquid. And we need a fork for my pineapple. Everything else I could just use my big hands to drop the fruit in. I don't know if you can see the bottom of this pan, but I'm going to just layer these soaked bread pieces right in the bottom. Now this was all the French bread. And let's put some raisin bread in now. Let it get nice and soaked. So in between the bread pieces, I'm going to drop in my green apples in between. Some plums or prunes, dried plums. slip them in there between the bread and the apples. And I've got some dried apricots. And we'll put a few in between here. And let's get my raisin bread in here now. Can you see this pan, how it's starting to get filled up? Now I'll put in some crushed pineapple now. Don't be stingy. And some raisins. Is it tasting more like fruitcake now or bread pudding? I don't know. And my shredded coconut. Okay, that's my first layer. Now we're gonna get some more bread and drop that soaked bread in for my next layer. Let's get some more liquid in here. A little more pineapple. And my next layer of soaked bread. All that butter and eggs and sugar in it. A little cinnamon and a little nutmeg that I mentioned. I don't know. I've heard some people say I could call this a slap your mama bread pudding. All right. Okay, and let's soak some more of this bread. A little French bread again, and then we'll put in some more of this raisin bread. Just let it get real nice and soaked. Okay, here we go, our next layer of good old bread. Remember, just keep layering it. Pineapple, crushed pineapple, some raisins on each level, some prunes, don't be stingy, and some apricots. And more apples. You know, I'm just imagining a little big old scoop of vanilla Haagen-Dazs on this bread pudding when it's nice and hot right out of the oven. Little coconut. Let's layer it again with more soaked bread. And I got some more bread. Let's just finish this up. Get a few more raisins in here. And a little more coconut. is going to be real tasty. I don't know if you can see this liquid when I press it. It just kind of oozes to the top. So that means it's going to be nice and moist all the way through. I just want to cover up all these apples so they get cooked nice and tender. Put a little more liquid in here. Top it off. And that's ready to be popped in the oven. Put a little more coconut on top of it. And a little more pineapple for good measure. Okay, and I'm gonna stick this in the oven about 375, and I'll give it about first half an hour. I'll look at it and maybe stir it because it's gonna rise. It'll rise up above the level of this pan, and you have to stir it, and it'll knock it down a little bit. Then you give it another half an hour, 40 minutes till it's nice and golden brown. I put a little more coconut on the top. I'll show you. But let's get this in the oven, and you'll see what it looks like. You'll see what it tastes like. Okay. Still got my chicken in there, but I'm going to give that chicken another 15-20 minutes. So hang on, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to show you how to do one of my favorite and most popular dishes, and that's stuffed chicken, deboned chicken, stuffed with dried fruit, prunes, apricots, and green apples. So we'll start by deboning the chicken. And it's going to require lots of patience because you're going to be doing a lot of scraping. And what I'd like to do is start with the backbone and open it up. And you start by very patiently scraping the meat away from the bone. And you notice I'm just scraping it away from the bone. See, it's starting to come loose like that. And you know, this is a special dinner for some special people to go through all of this work. You know, it's pure love. See how that's starting to come apart? And you scrape and you pull. And this is just your standard boning knife. You could kind of feel the flesh and how it's attached to the bone. Makes you a little aware of the anatomy of a chicken. See how that just slips apart? You scrape and scrape and you pull and you scrape. So you want to work with this. I think it'll take maybe another 30 minutes to finish it. But I just want to give you an idea of how to get started with it. See that? That's the backbone. That's good for doing soup with too. If you want to save those bones and throw them in a pot, some onions and garlic. Now here we're getting into the thigh and the leg. See that? That's that thigh bone. And just start to trim around that gristle. Just twist and scrape another bone. Well, I'm going to finish up with this leg bone because I got smart and I deboned one a little earlier today just to save some time. And actually, I have the stuff pieces in the oven as we speak. So, you know, miracle of TV and all that. See, this is the leg, and you just want to scrape it and maybe cut it away from the foot. Scrape, scrape, scrape on that end, and then you might want to trim it inside too. Trim around all that gristle. Cut those tendons and scrape them. And just, as they say, get down to the bone. And there's a leg bone. So now that bone is out of there, and what I'll do, I'll get the other deboned chicken and I'll show you how I stuff it and make a nice compact ball out of it. Get it in the oven. So hang on and I'll be right back. This has been baking for about 45 minutes, and you see how it's starting to rise. Well, you pull it out of the oven, and at this point you want to stir it up. Mix it up. See how moist that is? You just want to flip it over and just give it a nice little stirring. You see those apple pieces in there? They're starting to soften up. And just stir it around. Don't be shy. Flip it over. Mix that fruit up. And what I'm going to do now is add a little more coconut right on top. Right on top, and I'm going to get it back in the oven and give it about another 30 minutes, 25-30 minutes until its coconut is brown and be about ready for dessert. So come back in about half an hour. Now this is the complete deboned. All the bones are removed, legs, wings, back. See how just kind of boneless that is? So what I'm going to do is cut this into 4 sections. It's almost like cutting it into 4 equal parts, right down the breasts, right in half. And then you've got the wing section and the leg section, and I cut that about in half. So you got 4 probably equal pieces here. And what I'll do is stuff each piece with prunes, apricots, and green apples. And apple. Then you repeat the process. Prune, apricot, and apple. See how that's starting to fill it up? Fill up that leg. And I throw in a couple of more pieces. The rest of the cavity. And then you just want to roll it up. So you got a nice ball essentially. And what I do is wrap that in plastic wrap. This happens to be a holiday color, red, which really is not that important, but doesn't matter what color it is. This is usually clear. So you take a nice piece of that plastic wrap and you kind of make a ball out of it. See that? And it's kind of limp, so you might want to just squeeze it together. And you get a nice little solid package, just like that. And what I do is put it in a freezer until I'm ready to have a private dinner. That would be very impressive. Let me stuff the rest of these while we're here. Once you wrap it up real tight and refrigerate it, and even freeze it, you are going to cook it for a day or so. You freeze it, and it'll be a nice, neat package. And you stick it in the oven at about 375 for about 45-55 minutes. And you've got a pretty impressive piece of chicken. So hang on, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's completely baked. Be right back. Finished chicken. These happen to be the wing sections. I cut the chicken into 4 pieces. And if you recall, I stuffed there's a little bit of prune that popped through, but I'll just open this up so you can get an idea of what it looks like. See, there's a little apricot, there's a little apple, and then a little prune in there. So what I do is just slice this and plate it. And it's tasty. Mama would be proud. I'm going to do my spinach salad to go along with the stuffed chicken. And you can use any green leaf spinach or any lettuce, but I prefer to use spinach. And what I do is mix it with an oriental dressing, and just toss it. And I add my apples. Dice your apples right in your salad. Another surprise is grapes. I like to cut them in half. That's usually a little surprise. Just cut them right in half. So you've got yourself a pretty nutritious dinner. Toasted walnuts. Just toast them maybe 10-15 minutes just to get a little crisp crunch flavor to them. And add a little blue cheese. Just right on top. A little blue cheese. And you got yourself quite a dinner, quite an impressive dinner. I recommend a nice bottle of champagne to go with that. And after dinner, you may get lucky. So, bon appetit. If you really want to get cute, you put a big scoop of Haagen-Dazs ice cream on that bad boy. Well, we're ready to dine. Yeah, I got myself a dinner here. Wish you were here to join me.